here we are on the road to now Elimination Chamber. Their hero that they were hoping for, Batista, has now become Bootista. He is getting booed out of the building the night after the Royal Rumble. Randy Orton is getting more cheers. He's supposed to be the heel. Obviously, their plan didn't work.
No, not at all.
But this is where we start to get the build of the Yes Movement. This is where...
There was the Yes Movement and...
because at this point, the day of that Raw... Well, actually, thank you. Yes. The day of that Raw, Punk walked out.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember, because I watched it, and then I texted my cousin, I was like, where was CM Punk? That's weird. And then the next day, I found out that Punk walked out.
It was really awkward, and I had read rumors that he wasn't going to be on Raw. And I kind of didn't believe it because, you can chalk rumors up to what they are. They're rumors.
Yeah, exactly. And we've heard a lot of rumors of why he left, which actually I've actually been hearing more so that it wasn't more so the booking situation itself. It was more so he was just burnt out again.
Yeah.
He was just tired.
Yeah, you have to take into consideration this guy takes hardly any time off ever. Even when he's injured, he's still showing up on TV, not in a wrestling capacity, but he's still there. And when you're at that level of the stress and the physical and mental stress that you've been having, being on the road so much and being the guy who everyone loved so much,
and taking little to no painkillers.
Okay,
anyway.
Punk under a lot of physical and mental stress over everything that's going on in WWE. And then you get that booking situation. Here's Punk, a guy who's already considering winding down his career. The only thing he wants left is to have a WrestleMania main event. Then Batista wins the Rumble.
Honestly, I don't even think it was just about him, though. I think that if he didn't get it, he wanted Bryan to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Is he's said, he's done everything he wants to do. The only thing he has left that he wants to do is have the WrestleMania main event. That doesn't happen, and then, Batista wins the Rumble, and then here's what I've heard about what was supposed to happen the night after Raw, the night after Rumble on Raw. They start the qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm. Did they start them that night?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Because Punk was supposed to lose to Cesaro. Cesaro ended up going over Ziggler. Because WWE, this is what I've heard off the dirt sheets, Punk's match got cut down to a promo. That Punk was going to come out and cut a promo. And then Punk was going to cut a promo and get attacked by Kane again. And I think with the fact that, here he is, he lost his, basically not winning the Rumble, he loses his main event chance, he's under stress. And then he's supposed to be in a match, and then they cut his match, and then he's supposed to do a promo where he gets attacked at the end. He just says, screw it, I'm going home.
Yeah. So, taking that into consideration, the Royal Rumble
we
was...
miss you, Punk.
Yes. In Punk, we trust.
I want to say one thing in CM Punk's defense, because a lot of the flack he gets for walking out is that it's unprofessional. But... anyone has the right to walk out on the job they don't like. It may be unprofessional, but, if you didn't like your job, you'd probably walk out too if you didn't like it enough.
And you know what? I'll even add to that. If it wasn't for someone doing what they wanted to do in the world of wrestling, we never would have had Stone Cold.
That's true.
They wanted him to do all kinds of things. He said, fuck that, I want to do this. And we have the most popular superstar of all time. So the Royal Rumble was the last appearance of CM Punk. So starting that Monday, I believe that was the build of the Yes Movement.
Yeah, definitely not the start of the Yes Movement, but this is where it basically kicked into high gear.
Well,
and it made the thing where it was like, this is the moment where holy crap, this is getting way too big for them to try and downplay.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now the crowd wasn't split between Daniel Bryan and CM Punk. They couldn't just send
They-
CM Punk out when...
They had one focus.
Right. They couldn't send CM Punk out when the Daniel Bryan chants were getting too much for them to handle, which was how they used to handle the Yes Movement.
We're on our way to the Elimination Chamber. We've got the beginning of what will be the Yes Movement, but almost as popular as the Yes Movement, we've got the building of probably the greatest 6-man tag match WWE's ever done. We had The Shield versus the Wyatt family.
Yes.
All right. So this was really the turn for the Shield. It's like the Shield was starting to have the momentum of turning face.
Yes.
We had the Wyatts.
Wait, that's not yet.
No, not yet. We had the Wyatts, who were still very popular, but were obviously being booked as the heels.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, is after the proverbial shitstorm that was the Royal Rumble, this became the hottest ticket WWE had.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the Yes Movement was going and they had another match that people were supposed to be super into, the Elimination Chamber match itself. But the hot ticket, the seller item for that pay-per-view was the Shield versus the Wyatts. That was the selling ticket to this pay-per-view. These 6 guys who, collectively, their teams haven't been on WWE for a year.
Yeah.
These, the Shield, right before Survivor Series or something?
Right.
That's unheard of. For this team, one team less than a year old, one team, a couple months out of the gate, and the crowd is just eating this up.
They hadn't even started the match. The entrances had just finished. All 6 men are standing in the ring, facing off. The crowd is already chanting, "This is awesome."
Yeah.
That speaks enough for itself.
The Wyatts had only been around a couple months. This was the match people wanted to see since the Wyatts debuted.
Yeah, because the Shield was the unstoppable trio, and then you bring in this trio of just
brand new people.
And they proved to be dominant as well. They were creepy, they were new, they were exciting, and you're like, why not put them against the Shield?
Right.
And brilliant idea. Let's look at an Elimination Chamber.
So it
2014.
Done.
It had so much.
4 months ago.
Out of every match on the card for Elimination Chamber, this had the most natural build-up to it.
Oh yeah.
Just by design.
I'm going to be completely honest. I think if you take any match from Royal Rumble through WrestleMania,
Yeah.
that was by design the most anticipated match.
The one match that no one expected to be great was Big E versus Jack Swagger.
And they blew everybody's expectations out of the water.
Yeah, it was insane. And that just set the pace. And then when you get the Shield versus the Wyatts, it is off the freaking charts. Because, like I said, they're all doing everything that they're good at. They had us hoping for just each segment. It was just like hoping for more. And it was unbelievable that we finally...
It was like winning the wrestling lottery.
Yeah.
That's how excited I was about. I was as excited for this match as I was, for when I find out that I'm going to be watching WrestleMania when I was a little kid.
In the end...
Great pay-per-view to make up for a crappy pay-per-view.
We had the Wyatts go over on the Shield, which was great, because the Shield didn't need the win. The Shield were established, the Wyatts got it, this helped the Wyatts get even bigger than they already were.
It helped the Wyatts get bigger, and it helped the Shield move on to their short-lived face run.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got all these singles matches. Now we get to the Elimination Chamber. The Elimination Chamber, people were excited for because again, Daniel Bryan was in it. Daniel Bryan had his chance to win the championship. Cesaro was in it.
Yeah,
Cesaro had his chance to win the championship. But ultimately, in what was the
traditional WWE fashion.
Traditional WWE fashion. They're like, the fans hate Batista versus Randy Orton, so we're going to put the title on Randy Orton.
Yeah.
We're going to keep the title on Randy Orton. We're going to move on to WrestleMania, and people are going to love Batista.
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
I mean,
Batista had his finally a singles pay-per-view match, beat Del Rio
lackluster match, to say the least.
in a feud that didn't make any sense, wasn't necessary, especially if he was going on to Mania.
Yeah.
That was a complete underuse of Del Rio. I'm not saying I'm not the biggest fan of Del Rio, but they can do more with Del Rio than have him job to Batista. Randy Orton is still champion. We've got the Wyatts now moving on. Bray Wyatt begins
His feud
with John Cena, which I loved.
I think honestly we're gonna have to do a completely different segment. A completely different show on the Cena Wyatt
just
feud.
a whole episode because
Honestly,
you can break this down promo by promo and just follow the storyline of everything Bray Wyatt says, and it's fantastic.
WrestleMania itself had a lot of great build to it.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is like Bray Wyatt was this guy that he was cutting these promos, and everybody was like, you know, whether or not they made sense or whether or not you agreed with what he was saying, everyone just kept like.
He is the Jake the Snake of our era.
When he first showed up, everyone was kind of here, and then the more promos he cuts, we kind of sink in until we're tunnel vision on what Bray Wyatt is saying.
It's so much intrigue in these characters from their debut, but you get these specific promos from Bray Wyatt that just blow your mind and make you go,
and
what else can we get from this guy?
I think the perfect match for Bray Wyatt. John Cena.
Absolutely.
Because John, like, on the level of where Bray Wyatt is performing these heel promos, the best face promo in the business is John Cena.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I give John Cena a lot of flack for his promos because a lot of the time it sounds the same. It's the, I'm John Cena, I'm going to mock this guy and make you laugh, but then I'm going to turn around and say, you know what, you never give up. You keep pushing, you keep fighting, and eventually we'll rise up. You can't,
you can't see me.
You can't see me, blah, blah, blah. It's all the same thing, but when you get someone like Bray Wyatt, hell, before Bray Wyatt, when you get someone like CM Punk going against John Cena, you bring out the best in John Cena.
Yeah, and you realize that he's one of the best talkers in the
John
business.
Cena, to me, is a big game player. He needs to bring it all the time, and then I'll always be a Cena fan. When he's in a big deal match, he brings his A game. When he's not, when he's facing Joe Healy face,
Randy Orton,
Chester McBad guy.
Yeah, like
Del Rio.
Then he's just John Cena, WWE's golden boy, modern day Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, you don't get the best of John Cena if he's going against heel A or heel B.
Right.
You don't get the best. But if you have someone who works as hard as Bray Wyatt does on making this character mean something, you get magic.
He works so hard at making us believe the character.
So, apart from the build of Cena and Bray Wyatt, you've got other matches, like you've got the Shield constantly pissing the Authority off.
Yeah,
the Authority initially
I got bored. This was the build-up where I got bored because I saw way too much repetition.
Yes.
And Shield beats people up, then Authority gets people to beat up the Shield.
We were talking about this today.
Yeah, then the Shield comes back and beats up all those guys, and then they come back the next week and beat them up again. And
which, unfortunately, ultimately led up to the shortest match at WrestleMania, where we had the Shield go against the New Age Outlaws.
But that match, that was fucking awesome. It was short, but just to see the Shield be so dominant.
Oh, dominant over three of the most popular people from the Attitude Era.
It's a squash match against three legends like the Outlaws and Kane. As much as like normal me would hate watching that, like no one can squash three guys from the Attitude Era. That's just ridiculous. And then you watch the Shield.
No
do
one
it,
can
and
squash Kane.
They did it so naturally.
Yeah. The other things at WrestleMania, you had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal,
which I was excited for because let's face it, every time there's a battle royal around WrestleMania, it's on the pre-show.
Yep. Always on the pre-show, never means anything, usually puts whoever wins gets a title shot at like Extreme Rules or something like that.
Or whoever wins gets to face Chavo Guerrero for the ECW Championship in a 7-second match later on in the show.
Another 7-second Kane match.
Ooh, zing.
But this year it actually meant something. The WWE realized, I'm sure they realized, but they took the importance of Andre the Giant. They did something in his name, and they did something great with it.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that, bringing, Hulk Hogan in to help hype this up, too.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The one guy whose name is synonymous with Andre the Giant is
for sure.
Hogan.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 3. That's just the image everybody gets, is the Hogan-Andre stare-down on the cover of the WrestleMania 3 VHS tape.
Yeah, and then if you think WrestleMania moments, you think Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
So,
I think other things, but
well,
that's one of the big ones, though.
For someone who's been watching wrestling since '99, starting just after WrestleMania 15, I don't know a lot of what happened before WrestleMania 15.
So we know, everyone knows.
Everyone
the slam
knows
heard around the world.
The slam heard around the world. Cesaro, they gave the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal win to Cesaro, which, going into it, I thought Big Show was going to take it, being the current Giant.
And the fact that they had every build-up segment they had for the Battle Royal, the Big Show was on top.
Which I find interesting because Big Show did nothing after that. Big Show fell off the face of the planet and does backstage
Cesaro
segments.
threw him off the face of the planet.
This is true.
This is true.
Around
the world.
This Cesaro body slammed Big Show over the top rope to win this battle royal.
That was awesome.
It's one of those things.
We popped.
That where
for sure.
The build up, you think, well, Big Show's gonna win it. It's in Andre's battle. It's in Andre's name. Big Show's gonna win it. But then he comes out in the Andre singlet, gets body slammed over the top rope, a la Andre Hogan, and it makes perfect sense.
But this has set Cesaro on a great path where he is being built correctly, not too fast. He's not being pushed into things.
Absolutely.
He's able to gain momentum. And WrestleMania was a great moment for Cesaro.
Just in case...
you might want to sit down for this.
You might want to sit down for this. But Paul Heyman's client, Brock Lesnar, conquered The Undertaker's undefeated streak at WrestleMania.
Oh, no one expected this to happen. The streak is just so synonymous. It's one thing that people, as just fans, just us being fans, to people like Stone Cold, to people who are so high up in the world of wrestling, they never thought they'd live to see the end of the streak. They thought for sure that The Undertaker would retire undefeated. This was the most unprecedented thing to happen in the world of wrestling ever. Because when you see the reaction to that pinfall, you see that not only did us, fans around the world, wrestlers, everyone go, what the fuck just happened? The finish to this match was so secretive that the referee didn't even know.
Yeah.
The referee legitimately counted 3 and thought he screwed up.
Oh yeah. The bell never rang.
Yeah, we had to wait for the announcement from Justin Roberts.
Yeah.
Who probably had to wait for Triple H to go, yep, this is what happened.
And Triple H
From what I understand, Triple H actually ran from backstage through the crowd and came in through that little side area next to the timekeeper to tell Justin Roberts, do it.
We see that?
No, he came out in the track jacket at the end during Daniel
saw.
Bryan, Batista, Randy Orton.
That's right.
But yeah, the fact that the crowd sat in stunned silence, waiting. The commentators sat in stunned silence, waiting to hear the words, and your winner, Brock Lesnar. It blew everyone's mind.
I think
the wrestling community's heart broke.
Oh, you could feel it went from excitement to just disappointment.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is you never... the only crowd relatable to the WrestleMania crowd is the Raw after WrestleMania crowd.
Absolutely.
But the WrestleMania crowd is always so hyped up, so amped up, and I've never seen the WrestleMania crowd go silent.
It literally, it felt like everyone just died a little because...
I felt like the air was, taken out of the arena.
Yeah. Well, we had a group of people here, and all of us just went completely... None of us knew what to say. I was on the verge of tears.
Yeah.
Because it was something that was so special to people, and to watch it end...
I peed a little.
That's weird. To watch it end was unbelievable. But what was even more unbelievable is that we had to watch Brock Lesnar get his hand raised in victory over The Undertaker's 21-0 streak.
Yeah, my theory on the streak ending at WrestleMania.
This is it, yeah.
Is it time for the Undertaker's streak to be broken? Probably. Let's be honest, we've watched Undertaker's health slowly decrease after his second match with Shawn Michaels. His performances becoming a little more lackluster as they go on. So yes, this is an appropriate time for the Undertaker's streak to end. On the other hand, an inappropriate guy to end the streak.
And that's a rant that we've been
That's another episode.
We've been ranting on that since WrestleMania. Who deserved to beat the Undertaker?
The whole streak thing is another episode.
Yeah, which if you want us to cover it, let us know who you would have liked to see defeat end the streak.
If you want to see a streak episode.
If you support Brock Lesnar, tell us why.
Yeah,
we're open to opinions.
You know what?
No matter how wrong they are, we are open.
The only thing that gives me solace in this match is to know that Undertaker made this decision.
Absolutely. No one could have made the decision except for the Undertaker.
He was the one who had spent the last 20 years garnering this unbelievable streak.
I read that he had to be convinced. The plan was for Taker to beat Brock Lesnar until Vince, a few days prior, realized that Taker was probably not going to make it to the next WrestleMania because of his condition, and had to convince The Undertaker that this was the year.
Yeah.
Well, that goes without saying. Another thing that I heard, opposing rumors is that Undertaker's been pushing to have the match with Lesnar since 2010.
Yeah, where they had a confrontation at a UFC event, and that was supposed to be the build for the match, but unfortunately Dana White wouldn't let Brock Lesnar do the fight because he was the champion at the time.
Yeah, I mean, in the interest of fairness for Dana White, he was looking out for the best interest of his employees.
Yeah, I don't blame Dana White at all. I mean, he's a businessman. He has to have his company run.
And, if he would have let it happen, then Brock Lesnar would have beat the streak nuts of sorrow.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I'm confused. So anyway...
You should be.
Unfortunately, the streak ends. We didn't get the greatest match we wanted to. We didn't...
Brock Lesnar can't work.
We didn't get what we wanted, and I guess that kind of makes us selfish.
Yeah.
It makes us selfish, but as wrestling fans, we get greedy. We want to see things go our way.
Just being fans of anything, you get selfish of that because you have expectations.
Yeah.
Well said.
And without dwelling on it for too long, the ultimate detriment to the Undertaker's streak being broken was how much now people didn't care about Daniel Bryan winning the main event.
Yeah.
Which is our next big moment. Obviously, we had it. In between these two matches, we had a great Divas match, which a lot of us
The Diva Invitational was way better than expected.
Good.
We didn't expect it to be as good. But anyway, so yeah, we had a match that we didn't expect to be as good, but actually...
And we had a wardrobe malfunction, that's always a plus.
Yes, thank you, Cameron. We appreciated it very much. But just like that match, because of the loss of the streak...
The crowd was deflated.
The crowd was dead. And they stayed dead until the Triple Threat match. Triple H is a legitimate contender in WWE, has been, still is from time to time, and to have him be the one roadblock in Daniel Bryan's way to get to the main event of WrestleMania, built a great story. They had a great match. They had great spots. And we finally got Daniel Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania in what saved WrestleMania. Because building up, we were going to get Batista versus Randy Orton. The fact that we got the ability to throw Daniel Bryan in there.
Absolutely.
This match was more than I expected.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
I think even Batista brought his A game.
Yeah.
Granted, there were a lot of spots that I felt like Batista lacked in.
Yeah.
Though.
Well,
Like,
this was the start of Batista stepping up his game consistently,
fair enough.
which led to what was to come after.
Yeah. So
Let's face it, we all can't be The Rock and Ricky Steamboat and put on a great match when we come back.
exactly.
Yeah.
From a 4-year hiatus, or Ricky Steamboat's
Yeah.
case, like a 12-year
Being
hiatus.
old.
Batista was a case of ring rust because we saw what he did at the Rumble, we saw what little he did at Elimination Chamber, but then he finally did something right, and him, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan put on a great triple threat match. I mean, honestly, like, to me, a lot of the match is a blur.
It brought the crowd back to life.
Yeah, and that's why I don't remember a lot of it, because I was still so in shock about The Undertaker losing
Yeah.
that I had kind of lost interest. And so, but, there were a lot of great spots of keep Daniel Bryan out of the match and make people think that Daniel Bryan has no chance because you've got the United Evolution.
There were a lot of spots where
Buddies
I
match.
legitimately thought Bryan wasn't going to win. The Batista Bomb RKO combo through the announce table.
That is the one thing that stands out in my mind from that entire match. The combo move of the Batista Bomb into the RKO was...
He's going to say phenomenal. But
I wanted to say fuck. I wanted to say phenomenal.
Fuck nominal.
It was. There we go. It was fucknomenal. Hashtag fucknomenal. This move was the end all beat all for this match. It blew my mind. And
Randy Orton's skin on his back too.
That, by the way, going back and watching it, that's Batista's fault.
Oh yeah,
Because
Batista threw the monitor.
They're pulling the monitors out, and like Randy Orton's tossing them this way. Batista pulls one and throws it over the back of the commentator's table. And that's the one that Randy Orton lands on.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
But
fuck you, Batista.
Hashtag fuck you,
in front of
Batista.
that is what Randy Orton tweeted.
So at that point, it was that, okay, holy shit, what's gonna happen? They started to cart Daniel Bryan out on a stretcher.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, no way. That's how they're gonna take Daniel Bryan out of this match and leave it as Randy Orton versus Batista, which was the plan all along. But we got that moment. Triple H came back out and tried to get involved, and that didn't work. Stephanie tried to get involved. It didn't work, and we finally got Daniel Bryan legitimately as the WWE World Heavyweight Champion.
For me, it was a heartwarming moment to see somebody who I saw as a guy who I was thinking, that'd be great if he made it to the WWE one day. That's what I thought. It'd be great if he made it to the WWE one day. Never did I expect it would be great if he won the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania.
Yeah. And so,
my mind.
As guys who don't know indies that well, haven't been watching indies for that long, we know little bits.
Yeah. Well,
we were more so at that point. It was like it was one of those, like, as wrestling fans, we got what we wanted.
it was one of the first indie names I started hearing about when I started getting more interested in indie wrestling.
Absolutely. And I mean, feuds with Joe and Punk and Claudio and
The fact that a lot of today's superstars and stars from TNA were fighting each other 10 years ago on the indies.
yeah, that's awesome. Seeing all these guys up where they are now.
Yeah, seeing people make it to that moment.
I think the biggest testament to Daniel Bryan and, where WWE thought he deserved to be was from season 1 of NXT. The very first match Daniel Bryan has is against Chris Jericho.